I feel sorry for the next delivery person that comes to this house.
Why would you go with the 2018, 2 years old, and not go with the 2020 with the scissors keyboard?
What I am finding is that I need to give myself a task list each day of what I want to accomplish that day.
Now making his grand debut on That Blind Tech Show, Trey.
Do you want to talk on the podcast?
Yeah.
I'm being replaced, aren't I, Jeff?
Yeah. Hey, Trey.
Hello.
Hello, Trey.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
How do you like having mommy and daddy working at home?
A lot.
So Google Hangouts is where you can do video chat and like text messaging, kind of. It's just different. Google Meet is really designed for a meeting where more, I guess, I don't want to say more professional, but more like an actual meeting, not just like, hey, all my friends are going to hang out and we're going to watch each other on video.
Precious.
That's creepy, Jeff.
Yeah, that's very creepy.
He's like wiggling.
I'm wiggling.
Jeff, I thought we discussed no wiggling on the podcast.
And now, let's do the podcast wiggle, everybody. Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
What did I miss? What did I miss?
He used doo-doo.
Oh, you said doo-doo.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another Blind Tech Show. We're still here.
Wait. It's That Blind Tech Show, not another tech show. That's our competitor.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought we changed, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to That Blind Tech Show. A lot going on in the world right now, but we're still here recording. We figure we're going to bring you some information about some new tech, what we're doing while we're surviving the coronavirus, maybe a couple of laughs, because if you can't laugh now, when can you? But we'll probably be a little sullen, a little more downtrodden. I'm here with the usual gang. How are you surviving, Sirena?
I'm doing well. It's day, 4 of working completely from home. So far, so good.
Yeah? Your family hasn't driven you crazy yet? You're still going to keep them?
We're actually doing really well. Like, my son and my husband work downstairs. I work upstairs. My husband's helping my son do a little bit of his lessons here and there. And we've found a way to cohabitate all day in the house.
Wow, well, that's fantastic. And I'm sure you guys are being safe and everything. How's the soap supply over there? How you doing?
Actually, ironically, we were trying to order toilet paper. And we were...
You're the ones?
Well, we needed some. But we were trying to get it from Office Depot to get free shipping. So they shipped us our trash bags and our soap, but the toilet paper went out of stock before it left the warehouse.
Wow. So if you're listening and you're out there, we'll put a link in the show notes to Serena's home address if you have some extra rolls of toilet paper to send her. But,
thanks for looking out there, Brian. Appreciate it.
I always like to think of everybody. And of course, the man behind the scenes, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jeff Thompson. How are you doing today, Jeff?
I'm doing great. And if I could suggest something to Serena, save the receipt. It could come in handy.
As toilet paper or returning things?
Well, we'll
Both,
see.
I guess.
Rationing.
Day 5 is coming, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm doing good here in friendly Fridley, Minnesota, and I'm cohabitating as well because Lori is now working from home, and so is Katie and Justin. So the gang's all here.
And how's the soap supply there?
We're doing good. We've been out and about gathering a few things here and there, nothing crazy. You still can't find wipes, you know what I mean? That's a tough one. For the most part, the stores are a little low on the hamburger and the chicken type of stuff, and toilet paper, paper towels, that type of thing. And that's nationwide. But we went to our local meat market and we found hamburger and steaks and stuff like that.
And just for the audience, meat market is not a bar. It's a place you shop, right?
Shop? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's been around ever since I was a kid, so it's a good place. It's a place that you frequent, like in the summer, where you buy the stuff there, you're going to come home and throw it on the grill. You don't go there, buy the meat there, and come home and freeze it. You know what I mean? That's how good it is.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, you're of a certain age where you get special shopping hours now, so...
I heard that. I haven't reached that age, though. I missed that mark. But I heard that
I think
Walmart's
you're
starting
fibbing to us.
an hour.
See, I find that to be ageist.
Between 60 and up, then at Walmart, they have an hour where they're going to open their doors and you can go in and shop. So I think that's great. I stopped by my neighbor's before we went out shopping today and knocked on her door. She's 83 maybe, and she wasn't home. So we were going to see if she needed anything.
She gave you a Valentine's Day card.
That's right. that's right. She's a nice gal.
See, I do listen. Sirena, I'm holding out hope for a maturity level shopping hours and everything. So, yeah.
Well, they've been kind of nice, though, because at least the one I just saw for King Soopers or Kroger, wherever you are, or City Market, said that it's anyone that has special needs as well, for needs help shopping and things like that. So that might help.
Does maturity level enter into special needs or no?
Maybe just a smidgen.
I was able to get just a few delivery items yesterday, which was really nice because I thought I was going to run down and pick them up. You know, I said, hey, I'm the blind guy that comes in there, and played the token blind card, which probably be using a lot these days. And they were really nice. They delivered it, tipped the guy real nice, of course. They didn't have much of anything, but I'm holding out that my Peapod delivery that's coming on Sunday. And people, if you're out there and you're ordering in, make sure you're tipping these people well. They're risking their lives to get you your needed supplies, and you got to tip more than usual. I would highly suggest that. I was actually at...
Excuse me, yes. Brian. Excuse me. Usual. Could be 15, 18%.
I normally go 20%.
That's usual for you? Mm-hmm. So what is now?
Well, my delivery yesterday, of course, was about $25, and I didn't want change from the guy, and they said they could only take a tip in cash, so he got a $10 tip. I've got to go get some change or something, because that was a little high to tip.
Good guy.
Yeah.
You're a good guy.
Now, they were saying, you don't really want to handle money from other people, so what was I going to ask, for $5 back or something? I just didn't want to do that and everything, so...
At least you think you gave him a 10, right?
No, I used Seeing AI to make sure that it was a $10 bill, and then I threw all my money up in the air and grabbed what I thought was a 10. So, yeah, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. You got to have fun.
You'll find out next time.
Exactly. I feel sorry for the next delivery person that comes to this house. I had the fun of traveling while Harry Carey sent in and was out at CSUN. And as you've heard on Blind Abilities, CSUN was very scaled down. Probably should have been canceled in their defense. CSUN started on a Monday and the world fell apart on a Wednesday, here in the United States at least. Yeah, I did see a couple of interesting things, but I was doing the social distancing thing, so I did not want to talk to CSUN. And when you'd be sitting in a session and you'd hear somebody start coughing up a lung and sneezing on the other side of the room, let's just say everybody got really freaked out and everything. So there was a lot of anxiety. And, one of the great things that I did get to see at CSUN and test out was the Envision AI glasses, which are really cool. If you use the app, then you'll be quite familiar. The swipe gestures were very intuitive. And I have to give Karthik an awful lot of credit because he seemed like he did an expert job. I mean, he spent a good 7 minutes wiping down those glasses before I tried them on, which I was very thankful for. They're accepting pre-orders now. I believe the pre-order price in the U.S. is about $1,600, and I think these things are going to be a big hit. Have you guys, I know, Jeff, you interviewed Karthik. What were your thoughts in just hearing about the Envision AI glasses?
I really think it's innovative. A lot of people gave up on the Google Glasses, but now they have the new 2s out there, and I think they're called the Enterprise 2. And they've taken it where they loaded up the Envision AI app into the glasses, which make them basically solo. That's it. Brian, this is something I really liked about the Envision glasses when I was talking to Karthik. Let's go there. But these are like Bose glasses on steroids, because you said you don't need to use your phone in your hand. So it opens up the opportunity if you have a guide dog or a cane, and the vulnerability of walking around with a very expensive phone in your hand.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what users love the most about the glasses in terms of the design, that you can just wear them and you could just go ahead and do everything that you do, but completely hands-free. And in fact, one of the updates that we're working on with regards to the Envision glass is being able to use it completely hands-free using voice. Right. So you'd be able to say, hey, Envision, can you read this for me? And it'll automatically open up and then read text in front of you. Or, hey, Envision, where am I? And it would basically give you information like that. So we're working on incorporating voice as well. So it becomes fully hands-free experience when you're out and about.
And they're entertaining, bringing on Be My Eyes, Ira, and other companies onto it. Where that stands right now, I'm not sure, but that would be pretty neat that you put on the glasses and your choices would be to connect to a friend. And that would involve the companion app, connect to Be My Eyes or connect to Ira. So those services could be built right into the glasses. Now, where the talks are, we don't know yet, but it's been tossed around out there a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, Brian, how comfortable were they? Because I personally don't find the glasses the Horizon glasses that Ira used to use, I guess, very comfortable or stylish.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Google glasses?
The pair that I tried on was the one where it has like the wired frame on the left and the heavy frame on the right, but I believe you have the option of just getting it, if I was to get these, which I very well may, I would want to get them without the wire frame where both sides are the same, and I'd want dark tinted glasses because I have light sensitivity issues. One thing I did discuss with Karthik and caught my attention because I am grandfathered into an old AT&T cell plan. You either need to be connected to Wi-Fi or a hotspot on your phone. Unfortunately, the plan that I'm currently using with AT&T, I am not eligible to use hotspots, so that's something I'd have to change. But this could be a game changer. I know we've used those words a lot lately about certain devices, but I like that they're customizable. It's not one pair of glasses fits all. Some people might not want them with lenses. Some people might be fine with the way they come and everything. I never found the Google Glass with that kind of wiry arm on the left very comfortable. But I think if you had the same legs on each side, it would definitely make the glasses much more comfortable. And like you, Sirena, I never found the Horizon glasses to be very comfortable either.
So would you say that the Google glasses are like less bulky than?
Oh yes, definitely.
As a comparison?
Definitely much less bulky, especially with that wired mesh frame and everything. They're definitely much less bulky. And before this Corona thing hit this country, they had plans to eventually go around to a lot of different cities where people would be able to test these out. And obviously all that's up in the air. And I'm just hoping, because Karthik was over here from the Netherlands, him and his team, everything got shut down. They weren't even sure if they were going to be able to get back to their country. Hopefully they've gotten back there by now. So that was something there was a lot of concern. I mean, CSUN should not have moved forward with the conference. They had to make a call, and they did. It is what it is. And they are offering 50% refunds. I'm sure anybody that was signed up has heard. They're addressing it now. We've all gotten an email in the last few days. It's just going to take some time. But with the scaled down conference, you get to spend a little bit more time with exhibitors and stuff. I spent a decent amount of time with the Orcam booth, and they introduced a new product called, I believe it's called My Pen. And this thing's pretty much half the price of the Orcam device that snaps onto the glasses. And they were thinking of this product more for dyslexic people, but as they learned from myself and several others at the conference, it's just something you hold and you press a button and you shoot it at the piece of paper and it reads it to you. And they were surprised that a lot of blind people really liked the product and everything. So that was exciting news for Orcam.
Brian, that reminds me. I talked to Dr. Brian Walensky, who you went out there to CSUN with, and we were talking about the Orcam Read. I believe it's called the Orcam Read.
So what they created was Orcam Read, which is more sort of functions as a reading pen. So it's held like a pen, and you hold it in front of the page, and then what it has is like a laser outline or a laser pointer of where it's reading from or where it's reading, or where you want to read what paragraph. You can outline it, or you can read from a certain spot.
Oh, cool. So just kind of like directing it. Like I know with the My Eye 2, you can point to certain things to read, but this...
Correct.
So someone with low vision could actually highlight what they exactly want to read.
So exactly. So when they came out with this, they were thinking more of the reading disabilities, or like people with dyslexia. But then I said, wait, there's something more here. This actually could be for someone who's low vision, because, I see a lot of patients with macular degeneration. They can still see the periphery. So it outlines the periphery or the paragraph or the page, and with a little like laser light, and that way they know exactly where they're reading from. And all they have to do is click a button, and it's basically held like a pen, and it could be easily used by somebody with low vision.
They had a real nice booth with leather couches, so a lot of us would get tired at the conference and then sit down there, and there really wasn't that much to see. Every day there were less and less exhibitors. And for those of you who have not been to CSUN, if you start taking your booth down before 5 p.m. on the last day, you get a fine. But this year, pretty much everything was off. CSUN always has a lot of volunteers. Again, day by day, it was harder to find a volunteer. There were no lines for the coffee shop, which normally was a 45-minute wait last year. So there were some advantages. And I did go to IRA. They did show up for their session. And it was unfortunate. A lot of us were looking to hear, what the future of IRA may be, but they might not even know that yet. So they did not really go into what the future of IRA was. They were talking more about their Intuit small business practice and trying to educate, I guess, people from outside the United States more about IRA. The one thing I did notice, Jeff, one thing they did mention during the talk was that Bose is an investor in IRA. So who knows, maybe something may still develop with Bose and IRA, as you and I are both a fan of Bose frames. But yeah, overall, with everything that was going on, it was extremely scaled down. People were estimating there were only about 200 people there this year. They normally get about 4,500.
One thing I'd like to say about Ira is where they're rebuilding from. I just got to hand it to their team that I don't think anybody's really interrupted on their services that they're receiving. And they made CSUN available to anybody who attended it. I'm just impressed that they're moving forward, and I really want to see it take off. So I hope Troy and the team there really pull it together and work on the successes that they have. And, by getting rid of the Horizon glasses, it may have been an investment that wasn't paying off. So, if they could lean it out, I applaud all the stuff that's working good for them. And if they moved in that direction, it'll be something that may be sustainable.
Yeah, I made a lot of use of Ira while traveling. LAX was an Ira hotspot, and finding our car service as I shared a car with a friend that arrived at the same time as me. The hotel, like you mentioned, was an Ira hotspot.
Ira Access Point.
Ira Access Point. Dude, come on. I made it how far into the show without getting something wrong? We went out to dinner actually a couple nights, but we went out to dinner one night to Bubba Gump Shrimp, and I used Ira for the first time to book an Uber on the way back to the hotel, which that was fun, but that was more of the Uber fun than the... I'm at about a 50% Uber giving me issues about the guide dog. At least 50% of the time I get into an Uber. One friend that was with me in LA, he got dinged a $10 cleaning fee for the dog, which he's now challenging with Uber. So Uber's got a long way to go with guide and service dogs and everything. And Sirena, I thought you would have found this funny. I posted, because we now have in New York drive-through coronavirus check spots. I said, yeah, if... cab drivers and Uber drivers react this poorly to me getting in with a guide or service dog, how bad are they going to react to me getting in and say, take me to the coronavirus checkpoint?
That's probably their worst nightmare.
Worse than a guide or service dog?
That'd be way worse. Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because I also don't have the best luck with Uber, but I've had 2 issues out of probably the hundreds that I've taken with Lyft.
That's pretty good then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me, I've probably taken 20, 25 Ubers, and I've had an issue with at least 11 of them and everything. So,
and I would just like to help out our listeners. I know I had this problem one time. Lyft is LYFT.
Since when?
LYFT.
Do you think that our listeners have been sleeping under a rock?
I just learned something on that Blind Tech show. I never knew it was LY, but I've never used Lyft, so... Yeah. You see?
One listener.
Yeah.
Apparently, listener and co-host.
And I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but yeah. So,
what?
Yeah, you don't know that commercial?
No.
Are you a doctor? No, but I played one on TV.
Are you a doctor? No, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. It's a great ad campaign. Yeah. It was like 5-6 years ago. Not even the worst pandemic in modern human history can slow Apple down, although I haven't checked their stock in the last few days. I probably won't want to do that for quite a while. But Apple announced probably a bunch of the products they were set to announce on March 31st. We've got a new Mac Air, new iPad Pros, as well as a trackpad keyboard case, which we obviously won't know until people get to test it if that'll be of any use to the blind visually impaired. But Jeff, did any of these products, I know you're a big Mac Apple guy, pique your interest?
Actually, the MacBook Air, the brand new scissors keyboard from 2016, let me rephrase that, I guess. But they've gone back to the scissors style. They say it's updated, a new version of it. They got the Magic trackpad in there where you can press anywhere. Usually they have the hinge type that hinges down. They have the fingerprint sensor, so you can do that, all good stuff. But mostly what I see it is they got the Retina display, and they're really talking about how everything's built up for all the vivid colors, and especially for gaming. So I'm glad they're coming out with a MacBook Air starting at $999. It's got the 10th generation, the 7 processor.
And I have the 2018 Mac Air. And first off, if you're thinking about getting a Mac laptop, I advise most people to stay away from the Mac Pros just because of that touch bar, which can be a little finicky with VoiceOver. As VoiceOver users, we do make a decent amount of use of our F1 to F12 keys. And this Mac Air is going to continue to have those F1 to F12s. But a lot of this computer really seems geared more towards high-intense graphic users, gamers. If you're in the market and you're blind, go go ahead and save yourself a little money and go with the 2018 Mac Air, which also does have that fingerprint sensor, which is really cool to just touch that and have it enter all your information when you're shopping or to use Apple Pay and everything. So it's pretty nifty and everything. I'm a big fan of the Mac Air line, but I think, the 2018 model would be more than enough computing for most people.
Why would you go with the 2018, 2 years old, and not go with the 2020 with the scissors keyboard?
The keyboard's not that bad. I mean, if you know the keyboard really well, it's not that bad. Honestly, the price difference, if you need to save money, I would go with the 2018. If money's not an issue, then by means, go with the 2000. We are in 2020, right? Yeah, go with the 2020. But I'm talking to people where, finances, it might make the difference for them getting a computer or not, because obviously the 2018 will be several $100s cheaper. I have not seen what they have dropped the 2018 ones to yet. Normally, I wouldn't advise, because everything I've seen about the overall specs of the 2020 is primarily driven at visual users. So we've got two new iPad Pro models, the 11 and the 12.9. The 11-inch with 128 gigabytes of RAM, Wi-Fi only, starting at $799. Where you've got then with obviously the more RAM the more storage you go with, the heavier the price tag. And then the 12.9-inch model, Wi-Fi only, starting at $999. And there's also a new keyboard case with a trackpad, which obviously we won't know how useful that is, starting at $300 and $350 for those devices. Sirena, what are your thoughts about the new iPad Pro lineups and the keyboard and trackpad?
So I do think that the keyboard and trackpad might be useful, because it's probably going to work similar to the trackpad on like a MacBook Air or MacBook Pro and things like that. But if you're going to pay $350 for that plus the iPad, why wouldn't you just buy a MacBook Air? Like, that's where it's starting. I need them to just combine the two and put a touchscreen on the MacBooks.
When you start stepping up to the MacBook Air, and then you start beefing up a little bit of the processor to get to work like it's a regular computer, why not just go with the MacBook Pro? That will probably be coming out later this year too. That's the quandary. It used to be getting the iPad for mobility, but the more and more they start adding on to it, it's like you're right up in that price range.
Yeah, I think the MacBook Air screen's 13 inches, so they're pretty much the same size if you go with the 12.9 or the 13-inch MacBook Air and everything. So everything gives you portability options. And something I learned here in the United States, when you travel, you can no longer put your computer and iPad in the same bids at the airport. They get very angry about that. They each need to be in their own individual bin. So think about that if you get both of these things. That was kind of annoying and everything.
I feel like, Brian, are you an only child or do you have a sibling?
It's a complicated question. Why?
Well, this is actually going somewhere, I promise. Like, for those of us who have had younger siblings and we maybe are making up a game as we go along and we just keep changing the rules to work to our own advantage, I feel like that's what the TSA is doing at the security checkpoints.
You are dead on, Sirena, because when I flew back from Thanksgiving, the TSA asked me, "Do you have any food in your bag?" And I said, "No, why?" They're like, "Well, if you do, you need to take it out." And I thought they were kidding. I'm like, "Serious?" She's like, "Yes." I was like, "Since when?" She's like, "It's always been that way." I'm like, "Well, that's the first time a TSA agent has ever asked me if I have any food in my bag." And then when I flew again in December, my folding keyboard, they took a look at that and they're like, "Ooh, what's this?" And I'm like, "Let me guess, somebody needs a keyboard too," because they took something else away from me that I had too big of a bottle of something, of shampoo or something when I carried on. But,
Brian, can I ask you a question?
No, not at all. Go ahead, shoot.
Just between you, me, and our listeners, did you have any food in your bag?
I said I didn't have any food in my bag. You think I'd actually lie to TSA?
You kept questioning them.
Well, do Skittles count as food? Because I said I had Skittles.
Did you have any food in your bag?
Yeah, well, I had Skittles in my bag. Is that food or a snack? Are all snacks food?
You know what? We just had this argument at our dinner table last week about, is candy food or is it something else?
Yeah.
So we asked Google, and Google said that food has to be something that has nutritional value.
Now, if I said that to the TSA agent, would I end up in TSA jail?
Maybe.
Probably. You'd be on like the no-fly list.
By the way, let me tell you how much fun it is flying blind during Corona times when you don't want anybody touching you. They did the hand swipe thing because I walked through with the guide dog and I'm like, how many people has this been used on? And the guy said, "Oh, it's a brand new one." I'm like, "Sure it is." He's like, "No, we use a brand new one with every person that we have to check explosive residue on their hands." So I learned something new, but I still didn't believe the guy. Yeah, it was not fun flying although you do get the whole row to yourself. yourself on the flight.
Oh, I get professionally groped every time I fly with my guide dog. Every time.
That's the benefit of being a female.
No, it's by another female, first of all.
What's the difference between professionally groped and amateurly groped?
They're both quite uncomfortable.
Oh, okay.
I guess at least the professional one's in front of everyone, though.
Do you ask the TSA agent, have you ever served time?
It's always a female, and I just hate it. It's the most embarrassing thing.
Yeah. I still can't figure out why they make you take your shoes off. There's a lot of things that baffle me about TSA.
Well, there's some airports, though. So, like DIA will let you go through the TSA pre-check line if you have a disability.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to take your shoes off in that one.
I'm still trying to figure out why they want to put blind people in wheelchairs.
Especially when you have a guide dog with you. Like, how's that going to work? Come on.
They were one time trying to force me into a wheelchair. I finally just said, they're like, no, you need to go in a wheelchair. I said, okay, where's the guide dog go, on my lap?
My legs work just fine. You just don't want to have to work to help me get where I want to go. That's all it is.
I wonder if dog sledders could train it so we could be like, have our guide dog mush and bring you right to your gate. Your own dog, just multitasking, you know?
Sirena, serious question that'll lead to a funny question. When you travel, do you send your service dog through first, or do you go through first? Do you put him in a sit position?
I put him in a sit stay, and I make a long leash, and I go through first, and then I call him through. And it used to work where if I went through first and I didn't buzz, then I was all good and they would just wand him. But now apparently it's changed. And now they have the full body scanner. So that's a whole nother weird thing because you just stand in there for a while.
My new guide dog, Wes, who's a total sweetheart, needs some retraining if we ever get past this corona stuff, because I tried that and he kept running through. So then they decided to have me send him through first because they weren't bright enough to hold his leash. He kept running back and forth.
Oh my goodness.
I think he must have enjoyed the So we had a couple of fun experiences with the TSA and everything. So yeah.
That's funny.
So Jeff, Netflix in Europe, and I think this is a good thing. They announced that they're, I guess, what is it, controlling the bitrate stream, which I assume means no high def for the sighted community out there. Oh my God, what are sighted people going to do? And I think this should come to the U.S. because the last thing I want to have right now is Wi-Fi connectivity issues.
I don't know. It brings me back to the times where I would save a couple dollars when I would download movies because I would get them on the low fee, I guess. You know, I think SD, was that what it's called?
Standard definition, yeah.
Yeah, standard definition. And, you know, you could save a buck or two. You know, you'd see $9.99 or $7.99 or something like that. So I think everyone will be fine because a lot of these TVs that people have, I mean, 4,000K. 4K TVs, how many movies are made at 4K? None, hardly. The benefits that they're selling us and us being able to utilize them to the max are very null anyways. So, especially for us, just like you said about the MacBook Air and the Retina screen, does that really matter to us that games can be played faster and better, even with Netflix movies? I think it's fine. I think it's a consideration that has to be respected and across the nation too, if we start doing it too.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to protect the infrastructure and just make sure. That'd be horrible. They're like, oh, no, they crashed the internet because people were watching movies, Sirena.
So far, we have been really lucky. It's actually kind of ironic. We thought our router was about to break maybe for the last few months because we've had to reset it so many times. I mean, I'm working on our router. Our son's probably streaming some videos and things, and we're doing a lot of video calls and things like that, and it's not had any trouble at all. So I don't know if Comcast has done something to really actually put the full capacity of the infrastructure in that they've been holding back or what, but I haven't had any issues so far this week.
Oh, that's funny you say that because over the last 3 months, I think I've reset my router many times, and I believe it was Comcast that was doing it because you just don't know. All of a sudden you're crawling and you reboot it, everything's back good again. And so I was worried about that too, but everything's going good right now for me.
Now, Jeff, do you use the Comcast router or do you have your own? Because we have our own.
Yeah, I have my own.
Because people don't know this, but Comcast has made all their Wi-Fi networks free now to anyone who's not a Comcast user. And those Wi-Fi hotspots and networks are built up from those that use the Comcast routers that they give you or you rent or whatever the case may be. That's what sends out the hotspot. So that's why we never use theirs, because we don't want somebody piggybacking on our Wi-Fi.
I know.
Well, the problem I've noticed, I guess a Spectrum, and for some reason every now and then this weird Spectrum network pops up on my phone when I go outside. And the thing is, once you're connected to it, everything is so slow, nothing seems to load. I'll get back into my apartment and I'll be like, what the heck? Why is my phone not working? And these public Wi-Fi networks and even on the airplane at the airport are just still so terrible. I'd rather be on cellular.
Serena, going back to the Comcast hotspots, I should actually give a demo of this. I set up a shortcut that when I leave the house and get 300 feet away from the house, it shuts off my Wi-Fi on my phone. So I don't get any of these interruptions like, hey, you should connect to blah, blah, blah. However, when I hit an Xfinity hotspot generated by an Xfinity Comcast router, it'll come on and say, you got the wrong password. It's like, wait a second. And that's what's happening. I'm hitting some of the Comcast network that's out there for the hotspots.
Strange times, Mr. Thompson. Strange times.
It is. But it's really cool because when I come back home, my shortcut turns it back onto my phone and I'm ready to go. I like that.
Is that a shortcut that you created?
I did, Brian. I could show you how to do it. I should do a demo for you.
That'd be nice because I am not making use of any of the unuseful shortcuts.
Now be sure you're updated to the latest iOS software, running 13.0 or newer. Step 1. Launch the Shortcuts app on your iPhone. Hey S-Lady, open Shortcuts.
Shortcuts.
Step 2. At the bottom, you'll find 3 tabs. The center one is called Automation. Let's single finger double tap on that.
Automation. Tab 2 of 3.
Now, depending on if you've created an automation before, your next screen may be a little bit different. One, you just click on Create Automation.
Create Automation button.
On the other, it will say
Create Personal Automation button.
Step 3. Single finger double tap on the Create Personal Automation tab. In Step 4, you'll notice that automation is divided into 3 categories: Events, Travel, and Settings. Single finger swipe on down from left to right to Travel.
Travel.
Under Travel, swipe on down till you hear
Leave X when I leave work button.
And when I leave work is just an example. That's single finger double tap on that. For Step 5, single finger double tap on
Location. Choose.
Now this will give you a choice of location. I'm going to use current location because I want the automation to react when I leave my house. But if you're at work and you want to set it up for that location, you can go ahead and do that. Current location would be there, right? We're going to select
Current location.
And once you select your current location,
Selected. Current location.
up in the upper right hand corner, single finger double tap on Done.
Done button.
Step 6. With your location set up, then single finger double tap on Next.
Next button.
Then single finger double tap on Add Action.
Add action button.
Step 7. Now we're on the action screen. You'll find a search bar and let's type in Wi-Fi. W-I-F-I. On the list that populates below, find where it says
Set Wi-Fi button.
single finger double tap on it. Step 8. The option will be to turn on Wi-Fi. If you interact here, there's some actions you can do. You can flick up or down until you come to edit. Thus, with a single finger double tap, you can then change it from on to off or off to on. Set it for off. As you notice, by default, it is set to on. Step 9. Let's tap on Next,
Next button.
and then we'll tap on Done.
Done button.
Now you can create another one just to do the opposite. So when you leave your home or current address, as we set up in this automation, to turn Wi-Fi off. And when you arrive, you can have it turn Wi-Fi on. So you would repeat the steps, except for selecting leave, you would select arrive under location and select on instead of off. For a complete list of this procedure, check out the show notes. And if you have any useful shortcuts or automations that you've created or found out about, send us an email at thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. I hope you found this useful. Back to you, Brian.
That one actually sounds kind of useful. It'd be nice. I would like to know that one.
It is. When you leave your house and you get so far away, it shuts it off on your phone. So, and I always check it, but I always get a message too. And then when I come back, I'm about, I would say as the car comes down the road, just turns in towards the driveway. That's when else when I get a message.
Well,
So
stop
connected.
the presses. What are you doing driving, Jeff?
Shh.
Are you even...
He didn't say he was driving. You made some assumptions
I just always
there.
assume with Jeff.
Obviously, I'm texting while in the car. No.
Because you're not texting while you're driving, though, right, Jeff?
No.
Okay, just making sure. So I think the three of us are now all working from home. That's odd. All of us start working from home at the same time. Working from home.
Yeah.
I've worked from home
15 other million people too, Brian.
Yeah. I've worked from home for several years because I don't like to bathe a lot, and it's been suggested by my companies that I just work from home. But no, seriously, I've worked for a lot of companies that I consult with and everything, and just figured I might as well share some things that have made me so successful. And when I say so successful, I mean not while working from home. And, if you're new to working from home, one thing that I can't suggest enough is don't turn the TV on during working hours. Get into a routine. I will not turn my tube on or any streaming services until 6, 7 p.m. every night. And that's a good habit to get into. And as I know Sirena and Jeff have discussed, get up, walk about, take advice from that Apple Watch telling you to move and everything. We've got to do that more now. But being disciplined in getting yourself into a routine is the key to being successful from working home. And considering that we don't know how long we're going to be working from home from and everything, just get into your routine, keep your hours the same every day. I know it's a lot easier to stay up late at night, but try and set some regular hours and keep with your work hours, and you'll see that this will lead to a more productive schedule and everything. How about yourself there, Jeff? I know you've worked from home for quite a while as well.
Oh, it's routine. It's routine. And it goes back to the story I heard about this prisoner of war. They tried to screw him up by changing times and stuff, and since you're not used to it from working from home, but he had ants coming through a crack in his cell, and he realized the ants were on a regular schedule, like ant time work times or something, and so he set his whole schedule set up by the ants. I do the same thing. I look at the time, and I usually take a short break and lunch area. I always go out, and that's when I might turn on the news for just a little bit. But after I'm done doing what I got to do, everything gets shut off again, and I go back. Keeping a good system, a good time frame really makes a huge difference, and you'll be more effective, efficient, and productive by doing so.
And one must-have product besides toilet paper in the house that I would highly recommend now that we're all working from home. If you are a coffee caffeine drinker, get yourself a Keurig. You can get them on Amazon. I think they're about $80-$85, and those things are fantastic. Nothing better than a nice cup of coffee in the morning. They make one at a time. Most of these devices, the one I have, we could always do a demo on it, only has 4 buttons, small, medium, and large cups, and these things, can make hot chocolate, tea, and that sort of thing, but nothing better than a really nice brewed cup of coffee in the morning. Now, Sirena, you are new to working from home, and I'm kind of curious what it's been like splitting your time, obviously homeschooling a child as well as working from home. How do you balance that work/family life during the day?
Well, right now I'm really lucky that my husband's also working from home, and he's taken the lead on making sure my son gets his lessons and stuff taken care of. I kind of help get the technology piece set up because our teacher does do video sessions with the kids each morning and does some lessons. It's actually really sweet to watch. I'm like, oh, I want to be in first grade again. But the first day, we all 3 worked on basically in the same big open area, and I don't think that worked so well. I think we were getting on each other's nerves. So I moved to my son's playroom because there's a couch in there. There's a nice place to rest my feet on, and I'm using a laptop. So it's actually quite comfortable. So I've just kind of bunkered down in there, and since that's changed, I think it's worked out a lot better for us to have our own separate spots. What I am finding is that I need to give myself a task list each day of what I want to accomplish that day, because there are some days where I have meetings with clients. We're doing a lot of virtual things, but then there's other days where it's just wide open and I need to fill the time. And when you're at home, it's a lot easier to kind of get distracted and things. So I need to make myself a list of here's what I want to accomplish today.
I got a unique situation because Lori just decided to work from home. She didn't decide.
The government.
She's working from home too. I had 2 desks in my office because I had 2 workstations that I would do different things at. And so, but the one desk was always intended for her, but she didn't really need it yet. And we just hadn't gotten around to it. Well, now she loves it. She loves her new office now. And we're separated. I think she likes that too, because we did that podcast on blind abilities. And that day we were all like in the same area all day. And we got to the podcast, all of a sudden, wow, Lori has this tone about her. It's like when I'm working, I like to be isolated. I have my own area. I have a door. I can shut it. It's amazing how quickly you can get distracted, like Sirena, like you mentioned.
Microsoft To Do and Reminders are 2 great tools that might help you get a little organized. We've spoken about Microsoft To Do before. It's a fantastic, very accessible app on all the platforms. And the funny thing about Reminders, I keep getting one popping up every day. Get toilet paper. Doesn't seem to get completed every day. Sirena, have you found any tools that you might not have used before? I know it's only been a few days that you've been working from home, but have you found any new tools that have made your work-life experience more productive or better, easier?
I thought you were going to ask if I found toilet paper.
We established that at the beginning of the show.
We did find some yesterday morning, actually. But
Hey, question for you. Question. What does toilet paper and air power have in common? They don't exist.
I'm going to mute myself for a sec because my kid's trying to say goodnight. 2 seconds, sorry.
Now making his grand debut on That Blind Tech Show, Trey.
Do you want to talk on the podcast?
I'm being replaced, aren't I, Jeff?
Yeah. Hey, Trey.
Hello.
Hello, Trey.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
How do you like having mommy and daddy working at home?
A lot.
A lot, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
How do you like being home from school?
A lot.
Are you watching anything interesting on Netflix or TV?
Yeah.
What are you watching?
The Lego Masters show.
Should I check that out?
Yeah.
Hey, Trey.
That's Mr. Jeff, and the first one was Mr. Brian.
But you can just call me Jeff.
Okay.
I heard you got your own toy room.
He's looking at me like, mm-mm.
Your own toy room. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Are you keeping it clean?
Mm-hmm.
You know you're not keeping it clean because who cleaned it for you yesterday?
Mommy.
But I got a question for you, and this is a tough one. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where's your other walkie-talkie?
It's with my other. It's with it.
Oh, you found it?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Well, thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Is there anything you want to say? Do you want to do? Does Mr. Brian have something he wants you to say?
Well, no, That Blind Tech Show wants to say one thing to Trey. Good night, Mr. Trey.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Mr. Brian. Good night, Mr. Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Trey. Sweet dreams.
You too.
The younger generation, they're podcasting
All
at
right,
6,
good night,
Jeff.
buddy.
We're screwed.
Apparently.
That was cute. That was cute. I liked it. I liked it. And you guys don't think I have a heart.
I don't know where we were now. Sorry.
Oh, I had asked, since you've been working at home, have you found any tools that have led you being more productive or made your work home life easier?
Well, I'm a big fan of Zoom, but I actually discovered a new one called Google Meet, which is surprisingly accessible. It's just in a web-based piece of video software with very minimal buttons. It's very labeled appropriately, all that fun stuff. So that's what I've been using a lot to schedule my meetings so I don't tie up our shared Zoom account that we have in the office.
Is it Google Meet or Google Hangouts, or is that different?
So it's a little confusing. So Google Hangouts is where you can do video chat and like text messaging, kind of. It's just different. Google Meet is really designed for a meeting where more, I guess, I don't want to say more professional, but more like an actual meeting, not just like, hey, all my friends are going to hang out and we're going to watch each other on video. And it lets you have, I think our version that we have allows up to 100 people. It might be 250. I'm not sure. I didn't care because I just needed to allow me, 3 or 4.
Does anybody know if FaceTime group ever started working?
Yeah, it works.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Yeah, because we've done it before with my family and stuff.
Okay. How about yourself there, Jeff? Any new tools or anything that have made your life easier?
Well, I've always been a good Zoom user. I have the pro account, and it's coming in handy. Never thought that this would be a tool that everybody was going to grab. I used to encourage people to use it. But I use the calendar, the native calendar app. You can set something on there, and then you can set a notification for like 15 minutes before or something. And being from home, that's what I switched to. Usually when I was doing meetings elsewhere or something, I'd have to accommodate travel time or even study time, like 2 hours before, just to get my brain wrapped around a meeting or something. But now that I'm working from home, it seems like I'm integrated pretty well. And I just set it for 15 minutes ahead of time, and it seems like a good time. So I really like it because it goes to the calendars. I get messages. It'll pop up on my computer or it'll pop up on my phone. I shouldn't miss them. The hardest thing that I found out lately is Mountain Time, Pacific Time, Eastern Time, Central Time, and forget about Australia. That I just don't like that math.
Jeff, funny story about Google Calendars and CSUN. I prepared extremely responsibly and put all of my CSUN sessions in my phone. And Ed and I went to the IRA session and we're sitting there because, it was great. They had all the information. You were able to add everything to your iCal. And we were the only 2 people in the room. And I said, Ed, I think there'd probably be more than 2 people at the IRA talk. Well, they had moved everything. So everything that was listed where it was supposed to be was completely useless. So if you ever do go to a conference and there's a mass epidemic going on or pandemic, always check the details. But we did make it to that chat in time. So one last thing, Sirena, that I found interesting, that Audible dropped that a lot of educational books they're making free for people 18 and under. And I don't know if this was just educational as well as books that children of all ages might have interested reading. What were your thoughts about this?
I think it's awesome that they're doing that. I did see that. So I was kind of curious too. Is it books that are targeted to, young adults, I guess? Or because I actually read a lot of young adult books because I actually like that genre and I think it's fun to read. So I wonder if it's like the teen category and like the kids category, or if it's for your family members that are 18 or under and you get, I don't know. I guess you don't have to log into it or anything.
For
so
people
they
like
wouldn't
Jeff
even
who
know.
read at a third grade level, these might be appropriate is what you're saying.
I thought you were the one that said you couldn't read.
No, I can't read. Jeff reads at a third grade level. I'm way behind him.
That's right. No, I got proof. It's recorded, Brian. You said you listen, you don't read. It's broken into 4 categories. So you're going to have different categories for people. Like even Winnie the Pooh was listed. So I think it's a great thing because a lot of parents would like to get their kids to read more. And a lot of parents are right now straddled with actually a form of homeschooling because some schools aren't up to speed right now with connecting up to hold classrooms or lessons and stuff right now. So they're given sheets of ideas and stuff to do. And Lori and I, yesterday, I did the gold rush with my grandchildren, and I talked about the gold rush of 1849. It actually started in 1848, but 1849.
You would know because you were there, so.
Yeah.
You stole my joke. What was it like personally?
So I did that with them, and today Lori did Lewis and Clark, a little bit about that expedition and stuff. So, it's neat to see how creative people are getting and how families can connect on doing some of this stuff, because I knew about the gold rush, but I had to look it up a little bit and really start thinking about it. And I just didn't ask the devices, I mean, you can, but they don't get it right because the gold rush was Charlie Chaplin in 1914. It was a movie. And it's like, no, wrong gold rush.
Yeah. I don't think his films were very popular with the blind, as I believe they are all silent. But that's great. I think it's great what a lot of these companies are doing in this time of absolute terror and panic, and it's just great what they're doing. One thing that everybody's being encouraged to do is support their local restaurants, and I'm a big fan of eating because we have to, and I find the most accessible one to be DoorDash, but if you've never really used any of these services, they're all very accessible. DoorDash, Grubhub, Seamless is the worst. I don't even know if Delivery.com still exists. Don't waste your time with that. And I know Postmates is very accessible. You have to check what's available in your area. And a lot of these services are now suggesting contactless delivery, which I don't know what to do in New York, because if somebody leaves it outside sitting on the stoop, it's going to be gone before I get to my door. But Sirena, have you ever made any use of any of these food delivery services?
I am a fan of DoorDash typically. They did have that kind of bump in the road where when you thought you were tipping your driver and it wasn't really all going to them and all that. It seems like they've fixed that. But I have had some hiccups with DoorDash. Like we've got, and you know how long it takes to make an order because you're like, okay, let me customize this, let me add that. And then I've submitted it and then had it immediately canceled, or the restaurants canceled it, or things like that. So I don't know. It is definitely accessible. I'm not as big of a fan of the Grubhub app because it's just not as, I guess, trackable. They don't send out push notifications like DoorDash does. Like your drivers picked it up, they're on their way, things like that. With Grubhub, you kind of have to keep going into the app and looking to see what's going on. And I definitely will not do Uber Eats because I don't have the best luck with them.
I heard that's not very accessible. Yeah.
I've heard they broke the accessibility, but I haven't used it in a long time because the Uber drivers are frankly just so difficult. Like there's one time I was staying in a hotel in Denver for work and I was like, I need you to bring it up to my room. Like this is part of the service. Because they're like, well, I'll just leave it at the front desk. And I was like, no, that's not acceptable. And they acted like it was just this big, huge deal to take it where it should be. So where DoorDash, I've never had that happen.
One piece of advice about DoorDash that I've discovered recently, 2 pieces actually. If you pay with Apple Pay, as soon as you hit the Apple Pay button, do not touch the screen because VoiceOver places focus on the cancel button. So if you're touching the screen, it automatically cancels your order. Another thing, after you do make your purchase with Touch ID, if that's what you use, or another credit card, leave the app open because if you close it before it finishes processing the order, sometimes it will cancel the order, but you'll see processing, and if you do do pay with Apple Pay, you'll eventually get the ding and the notification and everything. So just a little bit of advice from somebody who's a frequent DoorDash user. How about yourself there, Jeff? I know you're cooking in the back and everything a lot, but have you made use, and I assume you're supporting your local restaurants at this time?
Like I said earlier in the show, we stopped by Bob's Produce Ranch and supported them by buying some products from them. It was really neat to go in and see the spirit of the store, the customers, and see how everyone is, good people, and they're local. I've never ordered food other than like pizza delivery, so I've never used any services. I always wondered about that, a cab driver bringing me my food,
It's a modern world, Jeff. It's not the gold rush of 1849.
I blame it on maybe juicing or maybe other things. I've used Instacart and all that other stuff to have groceries delivered. The only time I've ever ordered out has been pizza. So I really haven't checked out the accessibility of these other types of things. And,
Yeah. And you guys did a great job touching on the grocery services on the last episode on blind abilities. One thing I could attest to, because I started looking when I was in LA on Peapod, which is what I like to use, and Peapod is phenomenally accessible. They did a great job making their app fully accessible, is I normally could get a delivery slot the next day or the following day, and it's 10 days before the first available delivery slot. So if you're running low on food, definitely, and you're in a major metropolitan area or even probably a small area at this time, get those orders in awfully early and don't expect them to have everything they claim to have.
Now, Brian, you were on what food service plan? Or
I am on Nutrisystem, and fortunately right now I'm going full Nutrisystem. I did a couple days when I first got back of ordering food. I have about 2.5 weeks left. Some of your Nutrisystem is frozen, some is not, and I do not have the world's biggest freezer, so I'm having to wait until March 30th. Hopefully New York City does not go all shelter city, because nobody seems to be able to answer the question, does that mean I won't be able to get deliveries of any kind? And that's the only thing that's really causing me to freak out, because if I can't get deliveries, then I can't get that Nutrisystem. Right now, I have an order in a dog food. That's another thing, people. If you do have a service dog or pets, make sure you have plenty of food for those guys and gals as well. But hey, if you're looking to lose weight, now might be a great time to contact Nutrisystem.
A plug. We are sponsored by them. It's about time we talk about them.
Of course, their app is horribly inaccessible, and their website isn't that much better, but they claim they're committed to web accessibility, but they're not. But now might be a good time to get on one of those programs. I know there are an awful lot of services, if you do cook and everything, that do home deliveries of food prep and everything. So that
you said doo-doo.
Yes, Jeff. Is Trey still on the show? Because he's the only one I would expect to react to that. But
What did I miss? What did I miss?
He used doo-doo.
You said doo-doo.
Yeah.
Oh, great. And I thought Trey would be the only one that would react to that, but obviously I was proven wrong.
Brian, you bring up some great points here.
It happens every
about
now and then.
in New York, what you're going through, but you have a different makeup than we do. You're living alone, where I can rely on both Lori's kids have driver's license, plus Lori is a resource, and Sirena, you got your husband, and there's other factors, but now living alone.
How do you know Trey doesn't have a driver's license?
We've talked. We've chatted. You didn't just think he learned Zoom on his own, do you?
Of course not.
We go back a long way with Trey.
Brian, obviously there's situations where if you can't get your cleaning done for your clothes or stuff, like you mentioned, your groceries, everything comes back to you.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed living alone. I've had roommates in the past and everything, but I'm fortunately at a point in my life where I could afford to live home. Thank God I'm not still in a very tiny apartment, so at least I have rooms to move to and everything. But yeah, this is a frightening time. I mean, I had not had anxiety attacks in years, but as I mentioned, if those deliveries stop, what am I going to do for food? As you know, I live in a 6 apartment building. There's no laundry machines in the building of any kind. Normally sending out the Fluff and Fold has been fantastic. I don't know if they're still working. Fortunately, I have an awful lot of clothes. We joked before the show because I've lost an awful lot of weight, but I saved the fat man clothes. So I may be walking down the street looking like a hobo before too long, wearing those fat man clothes just because they're clean and everything. And I remember the college days, boxers, they last 2 days. You could wear them So before long, I may be going back to that kind of lifestyle, inside out and outside in and everything. Hopefully we won't get to that point.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I've started to look, though, at potentially having to do my wash in my bathtub and everything. So I've looked at what people are advising because the coronavirus can last on clothes. And of course, I don't even have laundry detergent. So that's something else I have to add to my Peapod order. But yeah, not a great time to be living alone. Not a lot of fun. Although I have run into some people I know on the street. I don't know why they're still out there and everything. One thing that I have done, the big thing now, besides working from home, who knows how long we're going to be doing this, but something tells me it's going to be longer than most of us think, is how to keep your sanity during this time. And today, it was suggested to me by a friend of the show because we were supposed to meet in LA, Roy Samuelson. We didn't get to meet in LA and we were planning on it. We did a virtual coffee meeting, and this is something I suggest other people set up, whether it's a virtual coffee meeting, and a couple of us have been talking about setting up a virtual happy hour. Maybe not so much every day for the happy hour. You don't need to be drinking like that, but if you do have some alcohol in the house and you need a drink, don't do it alone. Get on a video chat, or for those of us who don't need video, audio. People are coming up with really creative ways to keep in touch and to keep their sanity. What are your guys' thoughts about, Jeff, virtual coffee hours and virtual happy hours?
Honestly, I've actually done it. My daughter and I get on FaceTime sometimes, and we've always done it. And then we've been doing the history lessons with the grandkids, so it's nothing new, nothing astonishing. We've done these Zoom calls, podcasting. This is kind of like the 20 minutes, half hour before, and, sometimes the 10, 15 minutes afterwards. That's basically what it is. So we're pretty experienced at chit-chatting. I've been on 3 Zoom calls today, about 3 phone calls. I do a lot of phone calls for, connecting up with people and, meetings. I've done that so many times working from home that this is the new normal.
Yeah, it is. I had been downplaying, my social networking, but now I have ramped that up. I've probably been on Facebook more the last week than I have in the last year. Sirena, we know that you're big on social media, Blindy blog, on Twitter. You're putting out some phenomenal resources and everything. Who knew that these social networks could be saving all of us during these times? What are your thoughts on everything that's going out there, the good of social networking? Because there's obviously a lot of fake stuff out there. You just got to be smart. I don't think there's any fake stuff on Blindy blog. We're talking about other people, but tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Blondie blog. Let me try that again. Tell us what you're doing with Blindy blog to help educate people during these times.
Did you say Blondie blog?
I don't know what I said.
He fixed it.
That's fun.
He fixed it.
Yeah.
It came
he
out
did say
some
Blondie
way.
blog.
I'll incorrect it in editing.
Of course you will.
Incorrect it.
You see how they screw me, people?
Seriously, though, I shared some funny things on my Blindy blog, too. I feel like we all need a good laugh sometimes. And some of the nice alt text that we're getting now with Facebook is allowing me to find a lot more funny memes and things to share. But in all seriousness, I did create a resource page for our community that you might find helpful, maybe some different things. I've actually had some people ask for different things to be put on the page, and like that, I definitely reacted and put that on there. I hope you guys appreciate it. If you ever want to check it out, it's blindyblog.com/corona. And I update it fairly frequently. I do work full time, but if you have an idea, because sometimes I lose the creative juices, just send me an email or put a comment on my Facebook, whatever the case may be, because I'm happy to put together any resource that would help our community out.
That's fantastic work. And Jeff will remember in the 80s, we had Hans and Franz who were here to pump us up. Yeah, I know Jeff is standing a lot of the time while he's working. Jeff, are you standing while we're doing this podcast?
Oh, no. I'm not a stand-up comedian like you. I'm a sit-down jokester.
Yeah, well, sit down. I've actually been approached by some companies about doing sit-down comedy, and I just said, I'm sorry, but for comedy, you need an audience, and I have heard about some other comics that are much more successful than me that have put some stuff out there, and it just hasn't gone over very well. But
have you heard me on That Blind Tax Show, though?
What are you implying, Jeff? Do you think you're funny?
No comment.
Oh, that's right. You're not a listener.
I'm normally reading when you're talking, so yeah. Funny on a blind tech show and funny on stage, like those of us who were supposed to be at the Improv in Los Angeles Saturday night until the show was canceled, are two different stories. But anyway, enough of an ego trip.
It never
Jeff,
happened, Brian. It never happened. So
well,
how do you know? How would you know?
Jeff? I've performed there plenty of times. We've done 4 Laugh for Sights there. So, and I've been there other times. I was there last year. Jeff, what are you doing to get us all moving a little more while we're at home?
Maria Johnson, aka Girl Gone Blind, her and I did these workouts. They're called Focus on Fitness. And it deals with like planks, squats, walking, stretching, stuff like that. Stuff you can do in the house, around the house, and just a matter of a few minutes, just give it a shot. And it's not actually workouts that we're drilling you on. It's just explaining them, because so many times you hear people talk about a workout or a squat. What's a squat? So we describe it and go through the motions of what it does, what muscles it helps and impacts, and how to do it an alternative way, and how to just test it out by hanging on to like the counter or a sink.
Focus on fitness. You didn't even know you had a muscle there. Goals, man. Goals. Love it.
15 seconds. You're doing great. Hold it.
A plank. You know, a plank is a full body exercise, and it's a love-hate exercise, actually.
5, 4, 3, 2, and rest.
It's worth it.
So they're just brief little 10, 12-minute podcasts. They're called the Focus on Fitness series. And there's 4 of them. And I just released all 4 all at once. Just dumped them out there just so people can have a choice of stuff to do. And it's something that you can do while at home and during any time. And there's nothing that involves weights or equipment that you have to have. I mean, if you have a treadmill, that's where the walking comes in too. But if you have a friend, good time to converse and all that. So check them out on Blind Abilities. They just got released. So there's 4 of them. I just dropped them on right before the show.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to exercising for the first time this century. So, I plan to make this time self-improvement. And then when hopefully June comes around of 2,400, we'll all get outside and everything. But
I thought you were going to say this decade.
No, this century. So a segment that I've always wanted to put on the show, but we've only done from time to time, is what are you streaming now? And there's never been a better time than now to discuss that. Sirena, what have you been streaming, or what will you be streaming while self-isolating with your family?
So the first thing, and you guys will laugh at this, is I'm going to stream You. Not you, Brian. The show called You.
I've heard good things. Yeah.
It's
I've heard
creepy.
good things.
I mean, I started watching it last year, I think, and there's just some weird stuff that happens, and I have a hard time when something happens that's completely unrealistic. But I've just decided I just want to be mindlessly entertained right now, and I don't care. The other thing that I'm really looking forward to streaming that just came to Hulu is Little Fires Everywhere, because that's got Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington, and I love both of them. So that should be really fun to watch, but I haven't started it yet. And then we just started up subscription, well, really a trial subscription to YouTube TV, which I've tried it out on my iPhone as well as my Apple TV 4th generation, and it is surprisingly accessible. It's just a little annoying with some of the ways that they've designed things, and it's not an accessibility thing. Sighted people don't like some of the things about it too. But I have found that the audio description comes through on when you set something to record and things like that, so that's nice. It doesn't come through on the on-demand library, which we're used to, unfortunately. But if you record something that was originally aired with audio description, it is coming through.
So you just can't watch anything live with audio description. But who watches anything live anymore, yeah?
No, so I haven't tried the live stuff because I don't watch anything live. But like with YouTube TV, they have a massive on-demand library. So for example, if I record Modern Family, it's going to record all the episodes that are in their on-demand library as well, and the new ones that are upcoming. It's a little annoying the way it does it. But the ones that are from the on-demand library will not have audio description.
Jeff, we know you're not a big TV watcher, but during this time, do you plan to ramp that up? And if so, anything that you definitely want to check out?
Well, when it comes to streaming, one thing I do stream, I have Comcast, so I have the Stream app. That's actually what it's called. And so I get the news on there instead of going out and firing up the TV and stuff like that. Sometimes I just turn that on and see what's going on and kind of sneak peek at it, if I may. Sneak listen to it, I guess. That, and I have Apple TV and just rented a movie the other day, just something mindless, just, get something. And I actually rented it because, renting costs, $4.99, $5.99 or something like that, and then if you buy it, it's $19.99.
Check out the sales.
Well, I know, but it was just something mindless, and it was just like, okay, yeah, this is fine. I haven't been scouring Netflix and all that stuff, and I have Disney Plus, and it's, I'm not interested right now. Right now, it's just, I keep getting lost in the news right now, so that mindless stuff is helping.
Stop doing that to yourself.
Hey.
Stop doing that to yourself.
Hey.
Well, first off, the movie that I could not recall the title of last episode is The Disaster Artist with James Franco. It is absolutely fantastic. If you could find that with described video, definitely check that out. Jeff got me into the show Bosch, so I'm finally almost done with season 4. If you haven't seen The Boys on Amazon Prime, Bosch is on Amazon Prime, and Amazon Prime has this new series that I hear is fantastic called The Hunters. True story, took place here in New York in the late 1970s about a group that was hunting Nazis, and I think Al Pacino I don't know if he's stars in it or has a small role in it. I never saw Breaking Bad, but on Netflix, Better Call Saul, if you have not seen that, is a fantastic series. Definitely check that out. And if you're looking, this is going to make Sirena make fun of me. If you're like me and you're having anxiety attacks and you need to just shut your mind down at night, it's pretty terrible, but it'll take your mind off things. There's nothing better than falling asleep to Fuller House on Netflix, which is pretty spectacularly awful, but it'll definitely take your mind off of everything that's going on.
I can't believe you're admitting that you watched
I'm
that.
on season 5 right now. I've seen the...
Oh my God. I watched like 5
terrible.
Episodes and I was just like, I
It is
can't
so
continue.
terrible.
It's so bad.
It is so bad. It could be the worst thing
See,
ever produced.
that is what you can turn on in the background while you're
I
working.
watched 3 episodes of that, and then I wanted to bribe my school to get my kid in. I don't know what was going on.
It makes Saved by the Bell look like an Emmy winner. I mean, that's how bad the show is. Just the acting, it's just a really bad show. And it'll put you to sleep. That's the other good thing.
Hey, wait. I think you're putting people to sleep now.
That's hilarious, Jeff.
I think so. You should try it sometime.
And Jeff is being mean. So obviously, he always has this habit of interrupting me when I'm trying to wrap up a show. And then he complains.
I always get energized at the end of the show. It's like I'm ready to go now.
Like, oh, I don't have to talk to them anymore. What? Do you have any other mean things you want to say?
It's when his Adderall kicks in.
No, my nickname used to be Extra Innings, Jeff.
Extra what?
Innings. It's baseball. I'll explain it to you later.
What's baseball? What is that? I don't understand.
It doesn't exist
Exactly.
anymore,
No,
Brian.
it was.
NORAD is gone, but yeah. So
Stay tuned for fall training.
Well, at least I have like 200 shows in my Netflix queue. Ozarks is another show I hear is fantastic. I plan to
A friend
start
of mine
that.
mentioned that.
That new season's coming out very soon as well, too.
Yeah.
You know what else is good? Go clean your junk drawer. Your drunk drawer.
That explains.
I'm trying to stay
so
sober
much.
during the show, Jeff.
But
Well-
obviously Jeff is not.
No,
Slurring words, Jeff. Can we get the wife on the phone? I think we need to have an intervention.
I didn't slur the word. I just misdid the word.
It was a Freudian slip.
Jeff, we're really not podcasting. This is an
Freudian or
intervention.
Freudian.
Do you know what that is?
Jeff, why do you hurt yourself?
What's a Freudian slip?
Freudian.
I'm gonna need. If you wouldn't have unplugged your Google devices, you would know.
Freudian slip.
No, I know Freudian. She said
Freudian.
Freudian.
Wasn't that the name of that guy in that little Lord of the Rings movie? Freudian. What was that guy's name? I never saw the movies.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Lord of the Rings. What
Oh,
was the name of the
yeah, Lord. Not.
Brogert?
I don't have 6 hours to dedicate to every movie I watch.
Why did I just hear Trey?
You heard Jeff.
That was me.
Oh, that was Jeff?
I was doing Precious.
That's creepy, Jeff.
Yeah, that's very creepy. That's more creepy than your
it's
late night talk
Yeah.
show.
It's in the script. I didn't write the script. Come on, people.
Yeah, but you've clearly
and
worked
we are
on
including
it.
in the show notes a link to a lot of supposed free streaming services. We don't know if there's anything good in there, but we are including that.
Do you think Stephen King ever says that? That's freaky.
What is going on? How many personalities do you have over there, Jeff?
Sybil.
Hey.
What was it? 7 Faces of Eve or 11 Faces
I
of Eve?
opened up all my channels on my mixer just now.
You can tell he can't even stay still right now. He's like wiggling.
I'm wiggling.
Jeff, I thought we discussed no wiggling on the podcast.
And now, the podcast wiggle. Let's do the podcast wiggle, everybody. Stay fit. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. I'm sexy and I know it.
Who sings that song that Jeff is singing?
Macy Gray.
LMFAO?
Billy Idol. Billie Eilish? I've actually heard her name mentioned in places now, so you didn't just make her up.
It really is LMFAO.
It is.
though.
It is. Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
Jeff, we talk about it appropriate for the podcast and inappropriate.
It's a good song. It's kind of,
By the way, I am going to go check out Blondie blog after the show.
What are you doing with your microphone, Brian?
Did you just
elbowed
hit
my
your head on the microphone?
I'm still trying to get back at it for the day it hit me. I elbowed it.
Do not put your microphone in your pocket.
It hit you twice.
Payback's what?
This is all Jeff's fault. He started singing. That's not the first time he sung during this podcast either. He was singing while we were getting settled too.
I was getting tuned in.
Tuned in?
Yeah, sound checking.
What was I saying? I was singing, "For I am beautiful."
Oh my goodness.
Oh, God. Kill me now.
Please leave that in there so that we can have some feedback on Jeff singing.
On what we put up with and everything. The ROADs.
Oh my gosh.
NORAD is destroyed. Anybody find it ironic that Independence Day they killed the aliens with a virus?
You do realize if aliens ever came to here, they would die immediately because they have no immunity to anything that we have.
Kind of like the Native Americans to smallpox.
Trey was just learning about that. That was his lesson yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
How the Pilgrims gave all the diseases to the
to the Native Americans.
And what happened to the Aztecs? They came over. 60% of all the Aztecs were killed from the diseases brought over.
Their calendar ended. Oh, no, that was the Mayans.
Yeah, today we're faced with challenges that we never thought we'd have to face, and we're all reacting in a responsible way. Brian, you were in a unique spot down there in LA. Everything fell apart. You saw the bars all closed, places that you visited all the time. Everything was a ghost town. While we were at home, we're going through the same thing. Things we're challenged with a big drastic change to our normal. And there you were, and you had to fly back. So I don't blame you for having some anxiety attacks, you and Ed.
Just getting back from LA to New York. Yeah, it was, like I said, I cut my trip early 3 days and Expedia won't get back to me. Now, Ed was pretty funny yesterday. He's like, I literally closed down Vegas because he went to Vegas afterwards. All the casinos were shut down and everything as of yesterday. So
the first time since, Kennedy's assassination?
Yeah.
I just think it's weird that's the last time it was shut down. Like, why? It's just an odd thing. You would think it would have shut down a couple of years ago when they had the, active shooting stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that too, the shooting stuff too. Yeah,
right on the strip, but okay.
We are That Blind Tech Show, and coming from us to you, just be smart, be safe, and we'll be here to get you through the times and hopefully entertain you and educate you a little along the way. But for now, we are out.
I heard the tea.
Be sure to follow That Blind Tech Show on Twitter at Blind Tech Show and drop us an email at thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. I want to thank you all for listening. We hope you enjoyed. And until next time, bye-bye.
When we share
what we see through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
the limited expectations and the realities of blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, blindabilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.